This is Point Blank on Eyewitness News. I am Umaru, Sanda, Amadu. Tonight on Point Blank, we are talking about the GoldBod, an institution set up by the Mahama administration, which institution has been in the news for the past weeks or so. The company that morphed into GoldBod is a precious minerals marketing company, PMMC. So as of December 2024, or up until the election and a few months after, there was no GoldBod, we had PMMC. So my guest tonight on Point Blank was the managing director of that company, PMMC, the Precious Minerals Marketing Company. We want to talk about the GoldBod, but I want to look at the historical antecedents and the precedents that were left, and also the change of the law. Akwasi Awuah is the former MD of PMMC. You're welcome.
Thank you, Umaru.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Because you're a lawyer, can I also say you're a former MD of GoldBod, even though you were not...
At the time I was there, it was not known as GoldBod, so I guess not.
So you are just former, but change of name, or it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Change of name doesn't. It doesn't apply. Like,
indeed, the law had not even been birthed at the time.
So there was no company.
Precisely.
So you couldn't have been its former CEO.
Precisely.
Very well. That's fine. Thank you for the education. How long have you been PMMC boss for?
Well, I took office officially in 2021, and then I handed over in January 2025.
So for 4 years you were in charge of the...
Indeed.
What is PMMC, or what was PMMC?
PMMC was essentially an entity that was set up by PNDC Law 419. Okay. Part of the objects of PMMC, if you look at the establishment legislation, was to grade, assay, value minerals, including gold. One of it also was to go into jewelry production. One of it also was to buy gold from the small scale sector. So that also involved issuing licenses to people, buying agents to go around and then buy that. Now, in the wisdom of the framers of that law, PMMC is in Accra. Though Ghana historically has been known as the Gold Coast, there's no gold in Accra. But PMMC was set up, established, its head office was in Accra. And so, in the wisdom of the framers of that legislation, they thought that it would be necessary to permit or mandate PMMC to be able to license buying agents who would then go around and buy the gold on behalf of PMMC. So these are just a few of the mandate that was given to PMMC under the now repealed law, PNDC Law 419, particularly under Section 2 of that law.
So was PMMC a regulator or a player?
I would say that PMMC was playing, if you say regulator or player, I think that it's one and the same thing, because if you're a regulator, you're a player in an industry.
So I mean, are you in the market space doing business, or you are regulating the market space?
PMMC was doing both.
You're doing both?
Yes, PMMC was doing both. And in fact...
So you had competitors?
We had quite a lot of competitors.
State-owned competitors or private?
Both.
Okay. So
one of the state-owned competitors was MIF.
Okay.
The Minerals Income Investment Fund. That also had a gold trading program.
So they also bought gold and sold?
Indeed. Okay. They also bought gold and sold.
So, but PMMC primarily was a state company that was buying gold from licensed buyers?
Yes, indeed.
So if a mining company in Takwa produces gold, they sell to a licensed buyer?
Yes.
That licensed buyer brings it to you?
Well, under the old regime, they were at liberty.
Okay.
To either bring it to PMMC or sell it to any other buyer.
They were free to do that?
They were free to do that, but under the new regime, no.
How different is the new regime, which is a GoldBod, from PMMC?
Significantly, I would say that part of the functions or the mandate of PMMC were retained under the new regime, which is the GoldBod, such as the assaying of gold. So the GoldBod continues to act as the national assayer for all gold coming from Ghana. And so both for the large scale and the small scale, GoldBod has that mandate to do that. Also, you find that in terms of jewelry, promotion of jewelry, manufacturing or the jewelry industry has also been retained under the new GoldBod Act. Where there are differences will be, one, the licenses that are issued under the new GoldBod Act, and then also, in particular, the way Parliament has now empowered GoldBod, such that GoldBod now has powers to set the price of gold locally. It also has powers to actually control price and enforce it. Many people, many actors within the industry have been arrested one way or the other on the allegation that they are selling gold beyond the prices that have been published by GoldBod. And so today, if you pick up your phone and go to the GoldBod website, it is published there that gold prices for today are set at this price. And that is done by the GoldBod. PMMC hitherto had no such mandate.
Okay, and does this apply to big? So, for instance, Newmont, AngloGold, all those companies.
No. So GoldBod relates to only the ASM sector or the small scale mining sector.
So small scale, not large companies.
Not large scale
so
mining
those
companies.
ones, when they produce, they must come through GoldBod. But if you are a Newmont, you have no business with GoldBod unless you so wish.
Indeed, as far as the relationship between the large scale mining companies and PMMC, now GoldBod, is concerned, the relationship is one of where whatever gold these large scale mining companies they produce, PMMC has to assay the gold. Because under the Minerals and Mining Act, particularly Section 6, it says that nobody can export gold without it being assayed by the government assayer. And the government assayer here is PMMC. Was then PMMC, but now GoldBod. And so for the large scale mining companies, they cannot ship their gold unless GoldBod assays it.
So it still remains the same?
Yes, that remains the same.
So now what PMMC and GoldBod now does is similar to what CocoaBod does, where you are a cocoa farmer, you produce your cocoa, you sell to middlemen or agents, and they come to license buying companies, as they call them, and they come to sell to CocoaBod for onward export abroad. Is that how the procedure is?
Indeed, that is. Let me put it bluntly. What Parliament has done with the GoldBod Act is to create an absolute monopoly for GoldBod.
Is that good or bad?
Well, it depends on where you sit. There are those who, the economists on one side will say, no, leave it, free market forces, allow the market to regulate itself. And there are those who would say that gold is an important natural resource, and for that matter, it should be controlled by the state. So it depends on where you sit. There are arguments for and both on both sides.
So the way we control CocoaBod, or the way CocoaBod controls the cocoa sector, where you cannot send cocoa outside Ghana without selling to CocoaBod, that's what we are doing with GoldBod now. That's what it means. And would it be an offense if you went to sell your gold in Togo and not sell it to CocoaBod?
Yes, that would be smuggling.
Okay. So
that is straight up smuggling.
You cannot do that.
You cannot do that.
If you find or mine gold in Ghana, you must go through this procedure that you talked about.
So long as the gold is emanating from the soil in Ghana, it must eventually end up with GoldBod. That is the small scale sector. The only exception is the large scale mining companies.
So if GoldBod has just come to enhance further the work of the minerals, the PMMC, what is the fuss about GoldBod then? Why is there so much talk about GoldBod is in the wrong and that their loss is being incurred?
Well, I do not think there's such a fuss about the entity itself. I think that this whole conversation, this whole, to borrow your own word, fuss, emanates from a report by the IMF, which is the fifth review report, and particularly paragraph 36. And that is where this whole debate, this whole conversation is coming from.
So the GoldBod CEO says, yes, there are losses, but comparatively, this is better. You were the one in charge. At
Yes.
the time you were there,
Yes.
the losses you incurred, he's suggesting to us now that, yeah, there may be losses as the IMF has captured, but if you compared it to the losses you incurred, this is better.
With the greatest of respect, I disagree.
Why?
First of all, I think let's go back to the document, which is the source document which generated this whole hullabaloo. Now, if you permit me, I would read
Right.
paragraph 36 of that document, and it is titled, "The DGPP, which refers to the Domestic Gold Purchase Program, poses risk to the financial sustainability of the BOG, Bank of Ghana." And it goes ahead to say, "The large," please, I read carefully, "the large and increasing scale of gold for reserves G4R program, notably since the creation of GoldBod." Pay attention here. Notably since the creation of GoldBod. It didn't say since PMMC.
Since existence.
Precisely.
And,
It
it was,
didn't say
and
PMMC.
this was created 3 or 4 years ago or 2 years ago?
The GoldBod,
No, the gold for reserves.
this was in 2022. So
that's 3 years
notably,
ago.
yes, notably since the creation of GoldBod is a source of significant downside risk. And there they have a footnote, and I'll read the footnote. Footnote 14 says that the BOG purchased $7.6 billion in gold through the DGPP in 2025 through August, including $5 billion of Dory gold from ASM miners between April and August. GoldBod charges a 0.5% ad valorem service on the BOG's purchases, as well as a 0.258% assay fee. So what the footnote is simply explaining is the downside risk that it has put there in the main text of the document. Now let's continue. It says that the now discontinued G4O component,
Gold for oil.
yes, of the DGPP generated losses of $128 million, into bracket 0.15% of GDP in 2024, 30% of which emanated solely from the sale of $0.8 billion in gold. Okay? In 2025, through end quarter 3, losses from the artisanal and small scale ASM Dory gold transactions component of G4R have reached $214 million. 0.2% of GDP, mostly on trading losses, but also on GoldBod off-takers fees. This is the IMF speaking, not me.
Okay.
Now, if you look, Umaru, I'm happy that you're a lawyer. You were called to the bar when?
No, I'm not a lawyer yet. Please.
Oh, sorry.
Don't let GLC. Don't let GLC hear. I don't want trouble. I beg you.
Well, let's do some interpretation here.
Okay. Do you have locus?
I believe that indeed. I believe that though this is not a legal text, the principles of legal interpretation are sound enough to be applicable here. And the first principle is that the literal meaning. Let the document speak for itself.
So you're going literal?
Yes. Let the document speak for itself. Now, the first part tells you that there has been a large and increasing scale of gold for reserves program since the creation of GoldBod.
Yes.
That's what it says. So what it means is that since the creation of GoldBod, GoldBod has assumed the responsibility of buying larger quantities of gold on behalf of the Bank of Ghana in its gold for reserves program. That's what it means. Now we proceed. It now comes to talk about the now discontinued G4O component, saying that in 2024, there was a loss of $128 million. And that $128 million, 30% of that emanated solely from the sale of gold. Now, let me explain to you why or how that loss possibly came about. The G4O structure was such that when the gold is purchased and then it is used to settle the oil import, and the oil eventually gets into the country, the situation was that the oil would have to be sold before Bank of Ghana goes and collects the cedis and gives it back to PMMC to refinance further purchases of gold.
Mm-hmm. That was a procedure under gold for oil.
Precisely. Mm-hmm. Therefore, that time lapse between the sale, the recouping of the cedis, bringing it to PMMC for further purchases, definitely, exchange rate is not waiting for you. Gold prices are not waiting for you. Indeed.
So the losses occur in the stream.
Indeed.
During the wait.
During the wait.
Okay.
But the difference between that and the gold for reserves is that for gold for reserves, you are not, first of all, there is no oil transaction in place.
So it's direct?
It's direct. So the moment you buy,
there's no lapse.
There's no lapse. Mm-hmm. The moment you buy, you have the opportunity to sell directly.
Okay.
Straight up.
I'm looking at Sami Jemfe's response to this loss issue.
Oh, Umaru, I wasn't done.
Okay. All right. I wanted to be okay.
I wasn't done.
Okay, you learned from me.
I wasn't done.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And you realize that, and we are going further. So we are doing the interpretation.
Yes, please.
And then
you are taking up the job of Justice Chamber for. But you continue. Mm.
And then it goes ahead to say that in 2025. So for the explanation I've given, the interpretation I've given, it gives you reasonable justification for that losses recorded on the G4O. Nowhere did they say that there were losses on the G4R side. Please, let's pay attention here. Nowhere did they say that as far as PMMC's operations were concerned in 2024, mm-hmm. there were losses on the G4R side. But mind you, hold on.
Just on that point. I wanted to give you this to guide you.
Very well.
So Sami Jemfe's response says that because you said something very important about G4R, mm-hmm. he said that when you were in office, 2023-2024 losses of 7 billion under the G4O and G4R programs. That is what transpired.
With the greatest of respect.
Yes.
Where is the source document? In fact, I'll hold on.
Okay.
When you look at the report, the IMF report, mm-hmm. again, I come back to it because it is the genesis of all of this conversation. Mm-hmm. The IMF report indicates that the data and the information for which they based their work culminating in this report was given to them by Ghanaian authorities and the fund staff and the fund staff calculations that they made based on this data and information. Mm-hmm. And this review report has been signed off.
So it's primary source document.
Precisely. Mm-hmm. It has been signed off. Now, I would have thought that if there was any such losses incurred, that would have been provided to that. You think that the IMF would be given that kind of information and they would overlook losses in G4R and only refer to G4O? And I've just explained to you what those losses, the cause of those losses could possibly have been. Okay? Now, let me land. You go further. In 2025, through end quarter 3, losses from the artisanal and small-scale mining Dory Gold transactions component of G4R have reached $214 million. Mostly on trading losses, but also on GoldBod off-takers' fees.
What does that mean?
It's simple. What it means is that, mind you, in the same paragraph 36, on one leg, when they were talking about the G4O losses, they referred to it as losses emanating from the sale of gold. Then, on the second leg, they actually refer to it as trading losses. Now, what are trading losses? It's simple. Our mothers in the market, they know. You buy an item at X. You sell it at Y. That is trading. Whether you make a loss or not will be Y minus X, which is your selling price, your purchase price deducted from your selling price. If it is negative, it's a loss. If it is positive, you've made a gain.
Yes, so that is just profit and loss calculation.
Precisely the case. Precisely the case.
If you look at it from an economic perspective, the people in that sector would say to you that it is not every loss that is necessarily a loss. For instance, there are government interventions. For instance, government gives money under LEAP and all of that. That's money going away from government, but you cannot.
That is cost too.
Yes, but you can. Yes, so that you cannot.
But that is not the reference here.
Okay.
Please, the wording. That's why I said let's do some interpretation.
Okay.
And the principles of interpretation in law, for me, I believe are sound enough to be applicable here.
Okay. No need to go further.
No, unless there is some ambiguity. Then you can go further.
Which you don't see.
I don't see any ambiguity here.
Okay.
Especially when the data and the information was provided by government. And this report has been signed off by the governor and the finance minister.
All right. Based on everything you have said, you are painting a very beautiful picture of your administration.
Indeed.
Is it to suggest that the Gold for Reserves program, which is a G4R, from 2022 that the government started implementing under your administration, there was no loss?
Not that I am aware of.
Zero.
And let's go through the reports. Let's see.
Zero loss.
Indeed.
How is that possible?
So far.
And how come it's
so
suddenly
far,
there's suddenly a loss?
Hold on. I'll tell you what.
Yes.
So far, yesterday, the Honorable Minister for Agric at a program at another radio station made a very emphatic statement that in 2024, the losses that were incurred as a result of the Gold for Reserves program was $460 million. That's the statement he made.
2024?
Yes, in 2024 alone, $460 million. Now, anyone who hears this would immediately want to find out, where is the source of that information? What is the source of that information? So then we did some research and went to look at the 2024 financial statement of the Bank of Ghana. It's downloadable online. Go check it out. Nowhere in that report by the central bank did it state that there were losses associated with G4R.
So I've just seen the story that you referenced. So Eric Opoku was speaking on Akwasi on Asempa FM, and it has been reproduced on our website, citynewsroom.com. So PMMC recorded $460 million loss in 2024 under NPP. You are saying that there's no data.
It is a complete falsehood, and there is absolutely no source document to confirm or verify this claim.
He said that about 45.3 tons of gold were acquired for the country's reserves in 2024, with an estimated value of 3.1 billion at the time of purchase. However, the Bank of Ghana later reported losses amounting to 4.84 billion,
again,
which he said is equivalent to approximately $460
Umaru,
million.
again, it cannot be true that there was 45.
He's giving the facts.
I'm telling you that it cannot be true that there was 45.3 tons of gold acquired under the G4R. The reason being that since the inception of the domestic gold purchase program, and particularly the G4R component of it, our gold reserves since independence stood at 8.7 tons. Since independence stood at 8.7 tons. Now, it took Dr. Baumia to impress upon the managers of the economy, including the central bank, to buy into the idea of shoring up those reserves. Between 2022 and December 2024, that 8.7 tons had grown by about 23 tons to 31 tons. So how then does Honorable Eric Opoku say that there was 45.3 tons accumulated for gold for reserves? Where is that figure coming from? And this is verifiable from the Bank of Ghana's website. Okay. As far as the reserve position, as far as gold holdings are concerned.
On the losses that you say you never incurred, and again, I want to rely on the public information Sami Jemfi, who is the current head of the GoldBod, has issued. He released the following information. He said, audited losses from artisanal small-scale gold purchases under the domestic gold purchase program. 2023 audited losses. 2023 audited losses. Gold for oil, 1.18 billion. That's a gold component. Then gold for reserves, G4R, 973 million. This 2023. The total loss is 2.14 billion or 2.1 billion cedis, 2023. In 2024 audited losses, he says for gold for oil, it was 667 million and G4R was 4.1. Total losses 4.84 billion. Then in 2025 unaudited losses, he says gold for oil discontinued, G4R approximately 2.3 billion. That's 240 million from January to September, according to the IMF. So you were saying that this public information he has put out is not accurate?
Ask him what the source is. That's all. And I've just referred you to the financial statement issued by the Bank of Ghana. Even for the year 2024, nowhere does it state that there were losses as far as G4R is concerned.
Okay. My next question is, you were in charge of PMMC, now GoldBod.
Mm-hmm.
The G4R is a Bank of Ghana project, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Why are we blaming GoldBod and its CEO for what's happening at Bank of Ghana?
I'm not sure I am the one blaming anyone for anything.
Not you. I mean,
exactly.
Why
we are speaking to issues of losses.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as issues of losses are concerned, the report as issued by the IMF indicates that, and these are not my words, Umaru, with the greatest of respect.
Okay.
It says that the Dory Gold transactions component of G4R have reached $214 million, mostly on trading losses, but also on GoldBod off-takers fees. Those are not my words. And I've told you that this data was based on, this report is based on data and information supplied not by a third party, not by an alien, but by the government of Ghana itself.
Okay. But so my question still is whether or not it will be fair to blame GoldBod for these losses, whether or not they are even losses. Well, they are losses from the IMF quoting local information from the BOG and the government. Why do we not take the issue to the BOG boss? Why are we taking issue with, I mean, a lot of people are taking issue with GoldBod. So I'm asking, why is the GoldBod being blamed?
I suppose that it may also be the case that the GoldBod has assumed the position of PRO for BOG.
Or because it's the implementer.
Indeed, it is the implementer, but beyond that, you would find that the GoldBod has also assumed the position of PRO for BOG.
Okay. There are questions around the GoldBod itself. Do you, as someone whose office has changed into GoldBod, believe that the GoldBod as an entity should be restructured, or it should be an audit or investigation into the operations of the GoldBod? Which one should be the focus? Because think that Nkrumah is asking for some parliamentary probe.
Indeed, I think that as far as the GoldBod is concerned, when the bill was first mooted, I was in agreement with the school of thought that the regulatory function and the commercial function should be split.
Okay.
We are having this problem we are talking about today, primarily because of the fact that both the regulatory function, as far as ASM Gold is concerned, the downstream sector, and the commercial activity being performed on behalf of the state is all vested in one entity.
What is the role then of the Minerals Commission and the Bank of Ghana?
The Minerals Commission deals with upstream, which is the exploitation of the mineral.
What about the Bank of Ghana? Do they not have any oversight in operations of
If you
GoldBod?
look at the Bank of Ghana Act, and it's interesting because I recall that before the commencement of this domestic gold purchase program, we needed to satisfy ourselves that the Bank of Ghana had legal authority to go into this. You would find that in the Bank of Ghana Act, it says that the bank is proscribed from doing any other business. The only exception is gold trading. If you look at the Bank of Ghana.
So
gold trading is entirely different from regulating the market.
So GoldBod can get into the melee and also engage. The Bank of Ghana can do the
trading.
So that's why maybe it's using GoldBod as an agent to
precisely
do that.
The case.
But you cannot regulate that.
You would find that even under the new GoldBod Act, and if you follow the conversation and the statement by my learned friend Sami Jemfi, who now heads GoldBod, he says that beginning 2026, this year, BOG is going to exit. And this was reinforced by Honorable Eric Opoku yesterday at Akwasi, saying that in 2026, the Bank of Ghana is going to exit the program. And GoldBod will now have full mandate to carry on buying, trading, and all of that. But, my brother, if history is anything to go by, and if we are truly to be guided by history, I would say that GoldBod currently, as it is, based on the fact that its structure is both regulatory and commercial, needs to be careful. So I'll tell you why. I'm coming. I'll tell you why. In 2017, when we took office, there was a huge debt. When the NDC handed over to the MPP in 2017, there was a monumental debt at PMMC. That debt arose out of gold trading activities of PMMC. They had taken people's monies, they had taken loans from banks to finance the purchases of gold. Then, somewhere in 2013, and that started from 2012, somewhere in 2013, gold prices tanked. And the moment gold prices tanked, the whole market within Ghana went into a crisis, and PMMC found itself in those crises. Since 2017, when we took office, we struggled to change that narrative to the point that as at 2024, when we were handing over, we had made profits in excess of 1,000%.
So you are worried of a repetition. We have
Indeed.
to go. We have to go. But you said decouple.
That gives concern.
So the president is there and you are worried. Okay, moving forward, you want decoupling of the two roles that BOG, the GoldBod is currently playing. Quick one, the BOG today, the governor has said there's going to be a review of the G4R. You agree?
Indeed.
It should be done.
It should be reviewed because you see, these trading losses, okay? Look, Umaru, let's just come down to basics. Okay? Let's come down to basics. There is nobody within the gold sector today who trades in gold and then makes losses in that amount.
It shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't happen. The reason is simple. You already have an LME price, international price for gold. When money is disbursed, you know how much you are buying the gold for. Immediately, at any point in time, you should know your stock levels of gold and the price at which they were purchased, if they are intended to be sold. So the moment you know that, it means that you have opportunity to actually fix price. And that is what happens internationally.
Your foresight.
Yes.
So there should be no losses.
There shouldn't be any losses.
Let's leave it here. Thank you so much for joining us on Point Bank.
Thank you, Umaru.
Nana
Thank you so much.
Is former